Have you heard of the green whistle?
The name of the product is actually Penthrox, but everyone here in Australia knows it as the green whistle. The device is used for people who have suffered some acute or traumatic pain, and then the individual is feeling the pain just inhales and exhales. It's been a common tool. It's been in the bag of the ambos here in Australia for quite a number of years, in fact.
How does it compare to the alternatives?
This is a non-narcotic. Well, originally I'm from Canada. We came here to Australia from the US. Our house is in New Jersey. And then when this opportunity arose, the notion of coming back to Australia was an easy one for us because we loved living here so much the first time around. And this is what we deem to be our next generation.
We are producing the green whistle in a single package for sale throughout the world. Everyone says it's one of those things that they find easy to use.
Claudia, how did you come to need the green whistle?
Quite a while ago, I was competing in trampolining. They ended up calling an ambulance. It was incredible because I just couldn't feel any pain after that. And I did cheerleading for quite a long time and I loved it.
Have you heard of the green whistle? Hi, I'm Elina Reddy and welcome to Foreign Influence. Today we're going to talk about a medicine that has revolutionized the pain industry. Today we have Brent MacGregor here with us from Medical Developments International, and he will share with us some amazing news for those who get injured or something happens to them that they're in severe pain, and there is a solution. Thank you so much, Brent, for being a guest on our show.
Thanks for having me.
So your magic solution to people's problems with pain, for the pain relief, is called the green whistle. What is the green whistle?
The name of the product is actually Penthrox, but everyone here in Australia knows it as the green whistle. And it's this device, and the device is used for people who have suffered some acute or traumatic pain. Now, typically, I think people know here in Australia, it's related to sporting events a lot of the time, or people have seen the device used on Bondi Rescue as well, when people get injured in the surf or injured on a sports pitch. So I think what's unique about the product, it's actually a product that can be self-administered. When an individual suffers an injury, so let's say you separate a shoulder or you break your arm or something like that, the situation is normally you're obviously in a lot of pain. And what can be provided to you is this product, the green whistle. And what we do is, the product we use is called methoxyflurane. It's a fluorinated compound, and you inhale it. First though, you take it out of the bottle and you pour it into the end of the device, hence why it's called the green whistle, as you may see. Mm-hmm. And it gets absorbed by a wick inside the device, and then the individual now starts to inhale and exhale into the device. And when they've done that about 6 or 7 times, they start to feel an analgesic effect. So they start to feel an immediate pain relief.
Wow.
And what that allows is for the ambos to arrive, to treat them further, to transport them to the hospital, whatever the case may be. It even allows, let's say if you're on the sports pitch, maybe, as I said, you've separated a shoulder, it can be put back into place on the spot because you're feeling this pain relief. And the nice thing about the tool, about this product, is you self-administer. So the person who's giving it to you, as I said, puts the product in, and then the individual who's feeling the pain just inhales and exhales.
Incredible. When it was on Bondi Rescue, do the lifesavers carry one with them, or they have it in a little box that they have?
They always have the green whistle with them. And so you'll see in any episodes, and we've even talked to them when we've been on Bondi Beach ourselves, and they speak so glowingly of the product because they said, it helps them to address, a situation immediately. Obviously, when you come upon someone who's suffering a lot of pain, the natural thing you want to do is alleviate that pain as quickly as possible. And that's the beauty of a product like this. It's very portable, it's easy to prepare, and then, as I said, it's easy for the individual who's suffering from the pain to start to inhale and to exhale. And as I said, within 6 or 7 inhalations, they start to feel a pain relief effect.
Terrific. And the ambulances, they all have them?
Yeah, the ambulance services in all of the states use the green whistle as well. And so it's been a common tool. It's been in the bag of the ambos here in Australia for quite a number of years, in fact.
Fantastic. Where did the idea come from?
Well, the idea's been around actually for a couple of decades, and methoxyfluorine, the compound that's actually, as I said, poured into the device, methoxyfluorine was initially an anesthetic. So it was used as an anesthesia in a hospital setting at a much, much higher dose. And then over time, it was decided it was more effective to be used as an analgesic dose. So instead of as an anesthetic, as an analgesic for immediate pain relief. So it's used at a much smaller dosage than it was when it was an anesthetic. And that really happened probably around the 70s. So the product was used, but the manner by which it was used was quite different than it is today. Usually it was with tanks and masks and those kinds of apparatus, which are much more cumbersome, much more difficult to transport around.
Yep.
And I think that really the biggest innovation was the fact that you could create a device like this, an easily handheld device, and you could get
so
the same
compact,
yeah, exactly. You could get the same analgesic effect without the need for tanks and masks and all that other apparatus.
Who did come up with the name? I love the name, by the way.
The Green Whistle?
Yeah.
I think it's something that organically developed here in Australia.
Yeah.
It's actually, because we sell the product is registered in many other countries, particularly in Europe and Canada, and in various countries in the Middle East. They don't necessarily call it the Green Whistle like it's used here. Mm-hmm. It's a very typically Aussie kind of phrase. It's an Aussie branding of the product.
How does it compare to the alternatives?
Well, it compares to the alternatives in a number of ways. So what are the alternatives? A lot of the alternatives are opioids, are narcotics. So things like fentanyl. There's also nitrous oxide, or Entonox is a brand name that I think is more commonly used maybe in dental practices and the like, but also in hospital emergency settings. And so there's a number of differences. Those are the other products that are used for quick analgesic effect, quick pain relief. But again, there's a lot more apparatus involved. And the other thing too is, IV morphine, of course, is another example. But the difference between the Green Whistle, between Penthrox and all of those other alternatives, there's a number of differences. The portability of this is a big difference. The ease of use is a big difference. When you think about something like IV morphine, well, okay, you don't have to stick, an intravenous line into a person's arm. So it's much easier for the AMBO or the lifeguard or the emergency room doctor to prepare it and apply it. Another benefit that makes it, I think, much more beneficial than the other options I just mentioned, well, something we call rapid onset and rapid offset. And what I mean by that, of course, is when you inhale 5 or 6 times, you start to have the effect. So the onset of analgesia happens quickly. But equally so, when you stop inhaling and exhaling, the offset, the analgesic effect wears off quickly too. And that's important if you're in an ED setting or if you're on the beach or wherever, because unlike if you're in a hospital, if you put an IV line in, a person's got to stay a while. If you use some of the other alternatives, they have to stay a while. Okay. But with this, offset is rapid and they can be exited from an emergency setting much more quickly. And as I said, I want to amplify the last point. This is a non-narcotic. It's a non-opioid.
Wow.
So in a world, in a market like this, or in other countries, US, for example, where the opioid crisis continues, this is not an opioid. It's a non-narcotic. It's a non-addictive compound, and that's important too.
This is incredible. I detect a slight accent.
Do you?
Yes.
Well, originally I'm from Canada. We came here to Australia from the US. Our house is in New Jersey. And then when this opportunity arose, the notion of coming back to Australia was an easy one for us because we loved living here so much the first time around. And this is what we deem to be our next generation.
We are producing the Green Whistle in a single package for sale throughout the world. Everyone says it's one of those things that they find it easy to use.
Claudia, how did you come to need the Green Whistle?
Quite a while ago, I was competing in trampolining. They ended up calling an ambulance. It was incredible because I just couldn't feel any pain after that. And I did cheerleading for quite a long time and I loved it.
Detect a slight accent.
Do you?
Yes. Where are you from, Brent?
Well, originally I'm from Canada, but I've been in the U.S. We've been based in the U.S. for a long time. Our children are born in the U.S. And when we came here to Australia from the U.S., our house is in New Jersey.
How are you finding Australia as a family unit?
Well, it's great. We have most of our family unit here. Our son is in college back in the States, but it's our second time living in Australia. About 10 years ago, we spent 3 years here, and we lived in Sydney, and that was a wonderful period of time. And then for about 5 years, I worked for CSL, which is a big Aussie company, and so I would come down to Melbourne for work.
Is it a pharmaceutical company?
A pharmaceutical company, yeah. It's a blood products company, CSL. And I would come down here for meetings many times to Melbourne. And then when this opportunity arose, the notion of coming back to Australia was an easy one for us because we loved living here so much the first time around.
And you were here just in time for the lockdown.
Well, you know what? We'd gone through 2020, the first year of the pandemic back in the States. We arrived here physically in January of 2021. And it was actually quite different here because things were much more open here than they were where we left. But then, of course, it switched around. And after a number of months here, the lockdowns, the additional lockdowns, we had missed the first big one that you all experienced here in Melbourne, but we were here for all the rest of them through 2021. But that's okay. It was still nice. It's still been very nice to be here. We're happy that we're here.
Brent, how did you get involved in Medical Developments International?
Well, you know, it's an interesting story. My former boss at CSL, the affiliate Securus where I worked, an Aussie guy, Gordon Naylor, he had come from CSL. He'd been at CSL for many years, and he was about to join the board of this company, and they were looking for a new CEO. And he suggested they look at me. And so the chairman of that board at the time, David Williams, and Max Johnston, who was the acting CEO, they reached out to me in middle of 2020, and we started having conversations together. And frankly, I took the call initially as a courtesy to my former boss, Gordon, and it's funny how these things go. One thing led to another, and a first conversation led to a second, led to a third, and then I think it was by November the 1st of 2020, I'd accepted the role and I started in the seat from back in the States.
Fantastic. Brent, how's the pharmaceutical industry in Australia different to the one in North America?
Well, I think the industry itself, in my mind, isn't so different. I mean, global companies are global companies. Some are based here, and certainly many of them are based in the U.S. The markets are a little different, though. I mean, the U.S. market in particular is very much an employer health insurance-based kind of market, which makes it a rather unique circumstance, a unique environment that's typical of the U.S. Canada is quite a different market than the U.S. Canada is a lot more like here in Australia. There's more of kind of a nationalized healthcare kind of approach like there is here. So the main difference is there, I would say, is just in terms of who pays, right? In principle. Industry-wise, though, between companies, I don't think there's a great many differences. There's obviously more global companies that are based in the U.S. than are based here in Australia. So I think one distinctive difference, and one difference certainly with our company that we're working on, is how to globalize the company a lot more, because that is really our ambition going forward.
What does the future hold for the Green Whistle?
Okay, well, that's a good next question, then. For us, the future is very much overseas. The future is very much global expansion. So our product is already licensed in a great many countries, in particular in Europe. And so our near-term focus is really to build our business in Europe by bringing and explaining all the benefits of the Green Whistle to the French, to the British, to the Dutch, to the Belgians, and many, many others as well. So we're in the throes of doing that right now. So we have a team of 14 that's in Europe. The region team is primarily based in Belgium, and then we have key account managers on the ground in France. We have a partner that sells Penthrox, the Green Whistle for us in the UK and Ireland, a partner in the Nordic region, and a partner in Central and Eastern Europe. And so that's a big thrust for us going forward. But the other big thrust for our future is that we're also in the throes right now of developing a next generation Green Whistle. So this is the one that people are familiar with here and that I was showing to you a little earlier. What we're still in the throes of finalizing the design of is this. And this is what we deem to be our next generation Green Whistle. And
what a privilege for us on our show to have
this what we hope is the new one that's to come, right? And so there's a few discernible differences you can probably see. One of which is you see this carbon chamber that sits up on top of the current device, and that carbon chamber, its primary purpose is to absorb some of the aroma of methoxyfluorine.
Okay.
That carbon chamber is contained inside the housing of the new device that we hope to get registered eventually. The other big difference is I'd shown you earlier how in the current device you have to unwrap the bottle and pour its contents, the methoxyfluorine, into the end. In the new device, what you'll see here is the bottle would already be loaded into the device.
Yeah.
And when the AMBO or the emergency room doctor or nurse or the lifeguard or whomever is ready to use it, all they have to do is they pull off a protective cap. They simply plunge the bottle in and it's ready to go. We're excited not only about the global expansion plans that we have and the opportunity to bring this glorious product to other parts of the world, but we're excited as well to make what is a really easy to use product easier still.
Yeah.
There are alternatives. And so there's existing standards of care in pain relief. And so we believe our product brings benefits that others don't. And the challenge, but the fun challenge for us is to bring those benefits forward and explain them to people.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this incredible news on our show. It's such a remarkable product which makes so much difference in so many people's lives. And we're wishing you all the best of luck taking the green whistle to more markets around the world.
Thanks for having me.
We are producing the green whistle in a single package for sale throughout the world. Everyone says it's one of those things that they find easy to use.
Claudia, how did you come to need the green whistle?
Quite a while ago, I was competing in trampolining. They ended up calling an ambulance. It was incredible because I just couldn't feel any pain after that. And I did cheerleading for quite a long time and I loved it.
We thought it would be a great idea to come and see where the green whistle is made.
I'm head of production here at the MDI Scoresby manufacturing site. At the Scoresby manufacturing site, we take fine chemicals and produce the Penthrox drug substance on one line. We also have dedicated lines for filling of the drug product and also final packaging to the secondary product. We have automated cartoning capabilities and also serialisation capabilities that are being brought on right now. At the Scoresby manufacturing site, we are proud as a Victorian company to be producing drug substance from fine chemicals on our production line and taking that all the way through to the finished product. As part of MDI's growth strategy, we are implementing automated cartoning and serialisation equipment at the MDI Scoresby site. As part of the growth of the company over the number of years which I've been involved, we've gone from a very manual process, supplying mainly Australian markets, through to growth throughout Europe, Asia, and that's justified the increase in capacity at this site. The Green Whistle product itself is packaged into a number of presentations, but on this line we are producing the Green Whistle in a single package for sale throughout the world. This is the actual green whistle itself. This is the product without the actual methoxyfluorine. The methoxyfluorine is poured into it, so you hold it vertically and then the methoxyfluorine travels through the actual device which the patient breathes.
I love the black pepper.
It's the carbon actually takes the inhalation, so when you actually exhale, the methoxyfluorine is captured by the carbon. That's a safety feature that we use on the product.
Looks terrific.
Yeah.
Amazing how many lives it has actually enriched.
Yeah, I've never actually used it myself. I do go skiing, so I have seen it in use a couple of times. But everyone says it's one of those things that they find easy to use. Is something that they can administer to their own pain relief. So it's important to them when they actually have an incident, broken legs, whatever.
To put things in perspective, we decided to interview Claudia about her experience firsthand with Green Whistle.
Claudia, thank you so much for appearing on our show Foreign Influence and for sharing your experience with our audience.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Claudia, how did you come to need the green whistle?
Quite a while ago, I was competing in trampolining.
Wow, you must have been really, really good to make it to the competition level.
It continued on from my gymnastics, so it was something that I was really interested in. Going into trampolining and competing, I was practicing for a competition, and as I was practicing, I kind of did a backflip, and as I backflipped, my legs ended up over my head, almost in a scorpion movement.
Ouch!
Yeah. Yeah, it hurt quite a lot. From there, I was in a lot of pain. I was crying. Everyone had come. They ended up calling an ambulance, and they laid me completely flat and put a collar on me.
That must have been very distressing for you.
I didn't know what was going on at the time, and I just remember being in so much pain. The ambulance came, they put me on their trolley, and I was telling them that I was in quite a lot of pain through the lower back. They gave me Green Whistle. After I took it, they told me to inhale it, and so I was inhaling, and after I inhaled, it was as if like the pain just went. It was, my body almost went numb, and it was incredible because I just couldn't feel any pain after that.
This is terrific.
Yeah.
Did you have any long-lasting injuries?
Luckily, nothing came of it. They took me to hospital, they did some x-rays, they found a very small hair fracture in my spine, but they said it was all okay.
Did you continue with your sport?
Yeah, so I continued on with trampolining. I ended up quitting and going into cheerleading after that. And I did cheerleading for quite a long time, and I loved it.
What do you do now, Claudia, on a daily basis?
At the moment, I work at Sandringham Hospital, and I also work as a COVID transport officer.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for doing such a great job for the community.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. I love my job at the moment, and COVID has really made an impact on my work and everything.
What is your long-term plan, Claudia?
So I am currently studying during my work. So I currently study nursing, so I want to finish that. I want to go into the field of nursing. I'm not 100% which way to go just yet, but I know it'll definitely be in healthcare.
And tell me a little bit about your background. You shared with me that your mom is Polish. Here, the beautiful looks of Eastern European.
Thank you. Yes, so Mum was born in Poland. She came over when she was about 10 years old. Dad was born here in Australia, but originally from Hungary.
Do you practice any of the Polish traditions at home?
I speak a bit of Polish. Grandma always cooks, your pierogi and all the amazing Polish food. I think my favorite has to be borscht.
Oh, sounds delicious.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience, and we wish you all the best with your studies.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.